I have Aron Stevens here with me. I'm gonna get rolling now, but we want to talk about the NWA Crockett Cup, but I have something else I wanted to talk to you about. You were at the Kentucky Derby. I
Oh
thought that
yeah.
was really cool.
We'll talk about Derby if you want. Well,
Absolutely. You got a chance to meet Randy Travis. I saw the picture you shared. I thought that was cool. If
oh, he's there
just
every year. It's his birthday every year, and we always sing happy birthday to him at the
oh
Derby. Oh yeah.
oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
How many years have you been going?
Oh, I mean, like, all right, so I was lucky enough to just kind of like through different charities in Louisville, meet a bunch of people, and then on a plane ride from Louisville to Chicago, I met the York sisters who throw what's called Unbridled Eve, which is it's the best party. It's the best derby party there is.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not like there's Barnstable Brown, that's the oldest one. It's been 35 years. But then Unbridled, I mean, we had Richie Sambora, Skip Martin from Cool and the Gang,
Mhm.
Tretch from Naughty by Nature, John Elefante from Kansas,
Mhm.
um, the kid that did the singing for Bohemian Rhapsody. He did the music for it. It you're not going to find a better party. And the great thing is they raised over $4 million for charity,
Wow.
auctions and things like that. So it's a very Louisvillian thing,
Mhm.
in terms of like the spirit of like what Unbridled is. It's like they give to the community, but man, do they get down.
Yeah.
So, but it's great. And then and yeah, like got through just whatever, do the red carpet at Derby. So I got to do that, which was cool. I saw Seth Rollins on there and Becky Lynch, which was all. It was just like a weird thing.
Mhm.
It was funny.
Yeah.
But we get to just say hi real quick, and then yeah, just got to go and enjoy it. For Derby 150, it was the best Derby I've ever been to.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a milestone year, but all the names you just mentioned, that's like a super group in itself.
Oh, it was just yeah. I mean, we had like the year before, right? We had the Gin Blossoms. I mean, just it was just again. It's my favorite time of year, and it's funny because like my friends, like my wrestling friends know,
Hmm.
like so Derby is always first Saturday in May, and
Hmm.
the 2 weeks leading up to so 2 Saturdays before that, there's called Thunder over Louisville, which is
Okay.
it's an air show, largest fireworks display in North America. It's just phenomenal. So like I pretty much that is when I go on my vacation. That's when I'm like, okay, nobody bother me. Like when I negotiate contracts, I'm
Hmm.
like the first Saturday in May and the first Friday in May, I'm not going to be anywhere. Like that's it. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's an awesome, awesome thing.
It's kind of funny because uh I think he was like I'm pretty sure he said he was joking, but Trevor Lee,
Hmm.
uh I'm blanking on his WWE name, but he just said like, "Hey, if anybody is running a show when the Baltimore Ravens are in town, I'll do it for 75% of my regular rate."
Yeah.
He's such a diehard Ravens fan. Cameron Grimes, that's
Oh,
who I'm thinking of.
oh yeah.
But it's kind of funny how, you hear all these old stories about we worked 400 days a year and Hulk Hogan time traveled at one point.
Yeah.
And now you kind of get to enjoy some of the outside stuff like you pointed out and he joked, uh,
Yeah.
Trevor Lee joked about. But I'm glad to hear it was a great weekend. And kind of going back to Randy Travis, I found out after I saw your picture, like I'm familiar with his music
Mhm.
throughout the years, but I can't say I'm a diehard fan. But he has a new single with AI vocals. Like
Yeah.
if anybody doesn't know, he had a stroke. It affected his ability to sing. Now with his permission and blessing, he did this song through the help of AI. It sort of highlights, how good a tool like that can be, where it's not exploited. The person has, they're giving permission.
Mhm.
Uh, I thought that was really cool because I listened to the song and it's almost indistinguishable from his real voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like I think technology, right? Like what we're seeing today, right, in society where we love, in my opinion, to be alarmists,
Mhm.
to where like we constantly need something to worry about, it seems. Like it's almost like if our
Mhm.
brains have been re-engineered or something to that effect to constantly be stressing about something, you know.
Mhm.
Um and look, like technology, like anything else, like you look at electricity, right? Electricity,
Mhm.
that's a game changer, right? We can argue
Yep.
with that, right? And electricity can kill a person, and it can also cook his dinner or her dinner, heat their home, right?
We're talking right now because of it.
Exactly. So versus like looking at this kind of like good, bad, and just constantly, right? Like we're constantly like bifurcating everything. You have to be on one side or the other. It's doomsday or it's, derby day.
Mhm.
And like I think we need to just kind of inject a little more logic, use a little more reasoning,
Mhm.
and really kind of approaching this for like what it is. How can this best serve, humanity,
Mhm.
right? And not to get too into it, but and as humanity, we can't be, you know, sponges taking everything. How can we best serve the planet and nature and take care of things? And I just think if you take a second and pause like that and just kind of see where, like, okay, things are always going to change. You always have to evolve, but versus saying how bad it is and how like, okay, how can we use this to do good and like
Mhm.
anything else, right?
Yeah.
That's my take on it. So
Uh, I think it's a good take, especially like I actually don't think I take a side, but you have the influence of a movie like Terminator 2, where it's like, oh, Skynet's really going to happen. This new thing came out, and it's like maybe you're not doing it to be a doomsday prepper or anything, but it's like, pop culture has that sort of influence on what's happening now. So it's easy to maybe explain that position versus just, oh, it's bad. It's all going to take over, and
yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, you don't know, and like I've made Terminator jokes, right, with the Skynet thing, because it
Yeah.
is. It's like, wow, But then again, uh, if you went back in, let's say, the 1700s,
Mhm.
and you said, "Hey, press this button, and then this thing is going to light up, and the light's going to fill the entire room," people would have called you a sorcerer.
Mhm.
There you go.
What was it? Do you watch Loki, the Marvel show?
No,
Do you know much about it? So that was
I
kind.
know enough. Yeah, yeah, Thor's brother.
So it was like
I'm a
kind
fan
of
of the actor.
yeah. So it was not exactly, but it was like the one character went back in time, and he had this invention, and it was kind of setting the table from all the stuff that happened in the future. Uh, and they kind of treated him like, oh, you're a witch, you're a sorcerer, like you're bad
Yeah,
because you know about all of these things that, and your example, it's like, no, 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 like if you had this, it would be to your
yeah,
advantage. It's not evil sorcerer, but
yeah, exactly.
so. All right, let's talk about Crockett Cup. Enough of the maybe I'll revisit pop culture, but Crockett Cup is coming up. This one's exciting. Blunt force trauma, you're in their corner trying to get them to win the Crockett Cup.
I've already got him to win the tag team championships.
So I saw the cover of the NWA magazine. The three of you are on the cover, and it kind of asked the
It's
question,
the
can
most watched, downloaded issue ever. By I just want to say that too. More people have clicked, read it, and that's testament, of course, to the people on the cover.
Mhm.
And you know what? It just so happens to be me and Blunt Force Trauma.
There you go.
There you go.
Blunt force trauma, number one team against the play-in. My mind automatically goes to NCAA basketball, the tournament, bracket busters, all that stuff's always fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People also like a Cinderella story. You don't want to be the one to have Cinderella move past you. So why is having the best team in the tournament the right call this year?
Well, I would argue that not only are we the best team in the tournament, but we are the Cinderella of the tournament also. And here's why. We were robbed last year of the Crockett Cup due to horrible officiating.
Mhm.
I mean, the man passed out right in the middle of the match. The referee was unconscious, right? I mean, oh, he may have been struck by someone. Some people even like to think I hit him. And through AI and AI generating images, there have been some videos circulating that, yeah, I went and I punched the ref in the face, which was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
But that's AI being used for something bad. And, people have been slinging shade at us. People have been conspiring against us, yet we have retained the tag titles. And the Crockett Cup, that is the one accolade that has eluded blunt force trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So while we may look like the most devastating tag team combination in professional wrestling today, in the Crockett Cup, we are also Cinderella. But the difference is when the clock strikes midnight, we're going to be holding the cup, and the pumpkin will not return, right? Like the carriage doesn't turn into the pumpkin, and no, we are going to take the Crockett Cup and we're going to put it on the mantle till next year when we defend it again. So if you're looking for someone to cheer for, if you're looking for the Cinderella team, what makes this pay-per-view or this special event so unique is that, yes, the best tag team in the tournament, yes, the world tag team champions, we are also, on this particular night, Cinderella incarnate.
The bracket's out. I will say that. I mentioned your number one. The team that was involved in the other team that was involved in the final last year, the eventual winners, Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox, they're number 2 this year. Does blunt force trauma have to beat them this year to make it that much better, or is a win a win?
A win is a win, right? When you get that check mark in the W column, there's no name next to it, right? Some people have accused me of avoiding Knox and Murdoch. Some people have accused me of trying to not, keep them away from the champs, when the reality is, if they were the best team in pro wrestling, they would have the tag team titles.
Fair enough.
And it's very, they have said some terrible things about me. Knox and Murdoch both. Horrible things about me. But I have, at the very least, held myself to a standard that is acceptable for me and carried myself with the professionalism and, dare I say, grace to keep the eyes on the prize and do what's best for the fans in the NWA.
Something that you just mentioned, it used to be like a pay-per-view format, all these weeks of TV builds to a pay-per-view. Now the focus for the NWA is the CW. How has that shift from a pay-per-view, I'm going to say payoff, to focusing on just the weekly TV show and live events, how has that affected you as a performer? For, it's got to be, there's got to be pros and cons to it, because it's a big opportunity with the CW, but also you don't really have the Crockett Cup pay-per-view anymore. So like, I'm excited to see how it all shakes out, but I won't be there, so I have to wait for TV, and other people get to see it before I do. So it's sort of that.
Okay, bingo.
Okay.
You just said it. Okay, so if we're looking, 20, 30 years ago, the model for professional wrestling was pay-per-view, right? Because of streaming services, and there is so much content, right? The model has to change. And one thing Billy has always done is he has been able to kind of chart his course, right, based upon whatever information he gathers and where he would like to go, and then say, let's do it. And allocating the resources necessary for whatever objectives success, be it in music and in wrestling. In a society where we can get anything we want, right? Like at the tips of our fingers, you just say, hey, I can't be there, I can't get it on pay-per-view, I'm going to have to check it out on the CW, right?
Mm-hmm.
That creates, hey, let me just see what's going on, right? So that creates the interest, and then it is up to us. And I think this is going back to your original question, right? Where like as a performer, how does it affect me? The answer is it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I am the same person at a television studio or an arena in this case, than that I am in Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go through the curtain, people get everything I have, whether I'm wrestling, even if I'm mad and I don't want to be there, whatever. When I go through that curtain, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. The fans and the people I work for, I am going to give every single thing I have as a performer. I'm going to use every bit of experience and knowledge I have, channel every bit of talent I have to ensure the fans get their money's worth and remember me. And that should be all of the talent's attitude. Like, oh yeah, it's just a TV match or pay-per-view. And look, pay-per-view matches, yeah, there's a few more steel chairs and maybe a few more flips, but that doesn't mean you don't put everything you have into everything you're doing. And that's something that we are trying to instill from the top down in NWA, I can assure you, to where like when you go out there, you know, oh, it's just TV, it's just it's just a dark match. No. Everything you have into everything you do. That doesn't mean be stupid,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're going to put a headlock on someone, make it the best headlock of the show, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, as a performer, I hope to answer that question, and also like as a where we're going as a business model. Again, I think you just illustrated it best. Like, all right, let's check this out, because if we can create a product that's entertaining enough, and we appear to be doing that, like our live attendance. I mean, we did like 3,000 people in Dothan, Alabama.
Oh.
You know, we did just over 2,000 in Sarasota, Florida. And we're like, what? You know, the letters mean something. And what we are doing as a company in the, you know, the Lightning One era, as it's called, we have had ups and downs, but we have persevered and we've done it together. And we have done it by sticking to the vision. And although there have been times where, for whatever reason, the public has said, oh, no, we never lost our core fan base. And, you know, again, we're not WWE. We're not trying to be a watered down version of WWE, which is what a lot of promotions do, right? Most promotions don't have the financial resources. And if they do, they don't allocate the resources into the right places to create a product that's appealing. When you're flipping through the channels and you see WWE, the colors pop, right? Everything, it's just so vibrant. And no other promotion has been able to duplicate that, which I think is interesting. So what we've done in NWA, we have created our own thing. Like, we are not WWE light, right? As we say, or diet WWE. We are the NWA, and we are wrestling. And again, if that makes sense, I don't know if we're going to do. There's going to be a print translation of it, but it is North American television professional wrestling. I'm talking characters. We have good guys and bad guys, or good girls and bad girls. Protagonist, antagonist, if that's a little more appropriate for this time. But hey, you're going to see conflict resolution. There's going to be an issue. There's going to be athleticism. If you look at some of the talent we have, you know, look at Colby Carino. I mean, I'd put him up against anyone in AEW in terms of what he does as a performer. You know, we have like Mecha Wolf, right, who is internationally a huge star. And then again, Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox. Like, how do these guys even fit in the same company? But you know what they do? Because, like, we want all stud athletes. That's wonderful. You know who has stud athletes? The NFL, the NBA, you know, Major League Baseball. We want characters. We want a variety show. You know, we don't placate to what society thinks we should do. we give everyone, regardless of who they are, an opportunity. And I say we, I'm talking Billy, like everyone an opportunity, regardless of who they are, to prove themselves. And if you prove yourselves, guess what? Provided you're not a jerk and you can exist in the locker room, which I don't know how much you know about our locker room, but everyone has constantly said we are the most relaxed, welcoming, and friendly locker room you will find.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can exist with us, which is not a hard thing to do, then guess what? You're on the team. Let's go. And that's the way it should be. Like, we really try to keep the pettiness and politics and like clickiness to a minimum. And look, there's like little subdivisions. I mean, look, we have our own sections where we all change, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after the show, there is discussions with all people. Like, we're all hanging out where there's veterans teaching young guys, and there's young guys teaching veterans, believe it or not, too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we got to keep up on what's hip. So it's a very, very wonderful environment to be a part of, but it translates. The product translates, because when we do, over 2,000 people in Sarasota, when we do over 3,000 in Dothan,
Mm-hmm.
Crockett Cup is looking to be right up there, right? People leave the show, and like the people that are responsible for the building come up to us and are like, fans are leaving, say, we can't wait till the next time you're back. That's everything. We have our business model, right? It is not like what a lot of people would consider, oh, this is how you have to do pro wrestling. No,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to just put a little armor all on it, shine it up, and hit the road. And that's what we're doing.
I just watched an interview with Missa Kate, and she kind of talked about that vibe, the backstage vibe, the locker room vibe that you're talking about. She said she'll pick your brain. She named Jazz, Sal the Pal. Talk to me about just being looked at as a veteran of the locker room and being somebody that newer talent can come to and talk to. Like you have, I think it's over 2 decades, or
I don't
just
even know. The thing is, like, look, if in life, right, if you are ever put in a position to help someone, I feel you should. Um, Someone comes up to me with a question and I feel I can answer it adequately, I will do so.
Mhm.
And some talent asks the right questions. Some talents, you can tell they're just asking to try to like get over, right?
Mhm.
And which is certainly not the case in Mrs. K. Mrs. Somebody who wants to get better, and it's a no, sorry there.
No problem.
You there? Sorry, I
Yep.
don't
Yeah.
know. Sounds, but someone who wants to get better, and again, I enjoy talking to some of the younger talent, and then when you actually see the visible improvement, you go, oh, okay, this is cool. I will not take full credit, but the slime balls where everyone kind of looked at them and went, no, they're stars, and
Mhm.
that doesn't mean they're going to be the world tag. I mean, they may be. They may win the Crockett Cup. Who knows, right?
Yep.
But from what I've seen in the industry, right, like you make your assessment. But if you look at them on TV, they stand out. You're 6'4", you're jacked, and you look great. Congratulations. There's hundreds of people like you, right?
Mhm.
Okay, you stand out on TV and live crowds react to you. Well, okay then. You're not 6'4", so how do you operate? How does your character, how do you fit in the landscape? And if you can look at yourself that way, again, the sky is the limit for those two. They are young too. So I've kind of, and then Carson Drake, who, he's also, I put in that category. I mean, Carson, he's built a little more like what you think a mainstream wrestler would be.
Mhm.
Joe Alonzo is another one who is really like the improvements that kid has made. If you look at Joe 6 months ago and you look at him now, he is not the same kid at all. And again, I couldn't be prouder of Joe Alonzo. And he's going to continue to improve and get better. So you look at all that and you weigh all that in, and you can understand, like, do I want to make money at this, or do I want to get clicks and likes and have all of my friends say how cool I am? Because there's Instagram wrestling, right? I mean, it's when you do a spot, people go, "Oh wow," but then they go back to silence afterwards, right? That ain't the way it is. When we did a show in Florida and the Slime Balls did what I told them to do, they took a butt whooping from Kratos and Odinson. They came back out later in the night at another show in the same place. The crowd was chanting for the Slime Balls, and they sold. Imagine that. So yeah, like I don't engage a lot of younger people because look, they probably look at me and say, "Oh, what does he know? What does he do?" Right? And whatever, right? That's cool. Like they're entitled to their opinion. But when I watch someone continually get the same things, because like what they view success as is not what I view success. Nowadays, what it took to be on television 20 years ago to be considered a contracted television wrestler, it is not even close to the same standards. I mean, and again, like AEW, not pointing fingers at anybody, but who is I mean, Wardlow like had my attention, but then what did they do with him? Like, do they not understand, like, making stars, that is your foundation? Maybe they don't. Maybe that's not their business model. Maybe they like the Instagram wrestling thing. Who knows? There could be a number of reasons, and I'm not slinging shade to anybody. I mean, there's just you never know what the future holds, right? Like, but there's opportunity to create stars, and I just think that all of these companies could be maximizing it better, right? And they're relying on bringing in a name and look at the entrance. Look, I mean, we have really cool entrances. Our entrances are designed by rock star people, but there's a different vibe to it, right? You felt like you stepped into the 80s or 90s and the technology and the lighting is better, right? But if you look at the structure, it's that old. It's just enough nostalgia, right? Like we aim for the Cobra Kai level, right? Where it's just enough nostalgia, and at the same time, like, no, we are moving forward with stories and presentation and everything else. So I think we're really starting to find that sweet spot.
Yeah. I don't want to go on another tangent, but Cobra Kai is a very good example because it's building on the original trilogy, but adding just a little bit more to update it for the current audience.
Bingo.
But
Bingo.
like I said, I don't want to go down too far down that rabbit hole. But Crockett Cup, May 18th, 2024. It's at the OC Theater in Forney, Texas. Any other events or anything you have coming up you want to plug or promote before we close this out?
Well, we got Back to the Territories coming up June 1st. That's going to be a fun one. Actually, I'm doing a seminar with Dr. Tom and Joe Kazana on the 14th or 15th, I believe. You check social media for that one. That's going to be in the Knoxville area. So I don't do too many seminars. So this will be fun and interesting. So other than that, no, just please, if you have not downloaded the CW app, go do so. And, extra read all about it. Billy Corgan's Adventures in Carneyland is now out. It's been out for a few days, and people are. It's funny, right? Where they say, "Oh, I am shocked at how good the show is." Like, yeah, like I've lived this for years, so like this is, I definitely think there'll be a season 2 because we're just scratching the surface, and people seem to find it interesting. But you do get some sense of like how it is, like a very family kind of vibe back there. So
yeah. All 8 episodes dropped this week. It's on the CW. NWA 76, I'll mention, coming to Philadelphia August 31st. So there's quite a bit going on with the NWA this summer. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And, best of luck this weekend. And
thank you.
I hope you. I don't know. I was going to try to make a really bad Cinderella pun, but I hope you keep the slipper.
Hey, we'll keep the slipper and get the cup.
There you go.